Okay, so uh, since yeah, I want to do this video because I feel it's important. So um, since I'm gonna work also on this part, I said okay, let's share it. Um, so this page is the page of the affinities, which is like a concept of Elden Ring, which is something that I cannot just remove. But it's not a bad thing because I can easily adapt it. So as you can imagine, let's say that just 1 second. Let's say that every character have the statistics which are vigor, mind, endurance, strength, dexterity, intelligence, fate, arcane, and so on. And these are the basics basically. So okay, strength is strength, dexterity is agility, intelligence is perception in our mod and in our lore. Fate and arcane are two specific statistics that I already explained, but I will explain it again for you will understand why. So mind is basically affecting the Yoki energy pool. So okay, let's say that this is becoming Yoki, god, the twin goddesses or goddesses Yoki. So it's basically light Yoki, a good Yoki, and this is basically the real Yoki that we know, like the Yoki of the Yomas. So since Yoki is a term, is a word that basically reminds energy in general, um, or like the aura, or like the it's basically everything that is the aura, the energy. It defines, it is used for describing or referring to a lot of things, but they are all related basically to the essence of the being or what the being is become. So technically also humans should have an aura, but very, very small compared to claymores and humans and other beings. So we tend to say that they don't have. But okay, let's say that, so this is like fate, it's basically blessed, blessed, and arcane is almost the opposite, is occult, okay? In the lore, in the original lore game of the lore of the game. So in our, it's different because it is, I don't remember if I have it here somewhere, but let's say, yeah, okay, it's now it's, let's stay on the topic. So the point is that they have different names, but the mechanic is the same. Vigor is basically affecting the life pool, so the life points. Mind is basically affecting the Yoki pool, so it's basically how much Yoki energy you can use for the abilities and special attacks. The endurance is energy in our mod, so it's basically the or vice versa. Now no, okay, endurance, it's basically the energy you have, or determines the energy that you have to fight for physical attacks and physical actions. So in normal regular games, these are basically the stamina and this is the mana. Okay, so now it's here is Yoki pool and energy or physical energy, don't remember, energy. So strength, dexterity is agility and so on. But let's go, so every character can start and develop each one. So you of course have to be, if you choose a class, you will already see a guideline on how to build it, or that's the purpose at least. And so you just have basically to keep scaling almost that way. Otherwise, you should choose the starter class, and so you can which is the Yoma Survivor. So from there you can choose whatever you want, basically. So, okay, let's go back to this page. Oh no, before we go in there, there are the abilities actually. So for example, okay, there are abilities which in the game, in the original game are called, they're called Ashes of War. So basically, I renamed those as comrade techniques. So they are basically, they are things that you find in the game. Let's see if the search engine is working or not. Otherwise, let's go. Well, and then, oh, yeah. So, yeah, Ashes of War, exactly. Some of them are already on weapons, some of them you can find it around in the game, whatever. So they are basically, they look like piece of scrolls or something. You basically, they are ashes in the original game, and you can just place them on a sword if it's not a sword that is unique, and some weapons cannot be they cannot be changed, like you cannot change the skill connected to that weapon. So that's it. And so you have your statistics basically. So I'm explaining this because it's the basic of the game and I cannot change it that much. So that is gonna affect also the mod. So you have your statistics, which will affect specific things like, let's say, for example, strength, dexterity, intelligence, fate, and arcane. So strength is for physical attacks. Also, dexterity is for physical attacks, but of course, as you can understand, it will affect something different that I'm gonna explain better because it's a little bit different, not too much, but a little bit from other games. Intelligence is for magics, but also Fate and Arcane are for some kind of specific magic in the original game. So in our, there will probably be no magic, or the name will be changed, would be something different. Maybe not in the first release because it's a lot of work, but in the second and the third one, yes. So basically they will have two different names. Also, these ones have different names, and but they always affect the same thing. So what when you're gonna put a weapon, an actual force, so a technique actually on a weapon, you will be able to choose one specific affinity for that. Basically, the combination of the sword, of the weapon, and the skill. So the actual 4, aka techniques in other technique in our mod. So basically, I'm gonna place, I don't know, for example, a claymore technique on a claymore. In our case, so if I obtained the specific knives, which are basically shown here, okay? So there is like the iron wet blade, the glintstone wet blade, and so on. So these items must be bought or retrieved somehow in the game to unlock these specific affinities. So in the beginning, we will soon discover and find this one, and we will have access to the first 4, which are only physical, the first 4. So standard is standard, heavy is strength scaling, so it basically it boosts the strength. So if So if your character is a strength type, when you're choosing your skill, when you're placing your skill on the weapon, your technique, you should go for the strength, for the heavy, which scales with strength. So you basically, when your highest attribute is the strength, you should use the heavy affinity. And so on with the others. So now that it's basically the same. So basically dexterity or agility in our case, it's just name changing, or keen scales with dexterity. So for example, a character like Elena or like Flora, which are dexterity kind, they should use the keen, which will have a different name, but it will be in the same position. So it will be easy to understand and it will have a description. So it doesn't just a beauty thing. So basically this will be the agility build. Okay. Then there is quality. As you can see, it's balance. In our mod, it's called synergy. So it's basically a balance between strength and dexterity. So when your highest attributes are strength and dexterity without a lot of difference, or they are exactly the same, this is the thing, the affinity that you want to choose when you place your technique on the sword or weapon. Then there are the magic ones and other stuff that I'm gonna explain quickly, but some of these are, let's say 90-100% gonna be removed or changed. So let's start with the ones that I'm not gonna change, or I mean I'm gonna change, but they will still be. Golden, it's basically holy. So you need to retrieve the sanctifying word blade, and it's sacred and lightning. Lightning is basically, okay, highest attribute is dexterity, but you want to use lightning damage, so it goes with lightning. So this one will be changed. I will explain later. Sacred is fate scaling, so it's not dexterity scaling, it's fate scaling. So as you remember, I showed you before that there is dexterity, agility, and fate, which will be goddesses Yoki. So just changes the name, but the scaling is the same. So holy damage. Then there is the occult, which requires this black wet blade, which is basically the reference for the Yoma energy. So it's basically Yoki, Yoma Yoki, or Yoma energy. So this will be Yoma's Yoki, while this is Goddess's Yoki. So it's basically just name change, but not only. I mean, yes and no. This affects these three kinds of affinities, which are poison, blood, which must be explained, and occult. So, actually, it's not occult Yama's Yoki, it's arcane Yama's Yoki. Arcane is Yama's Yoki, and the fate is Goddess's Yoki, to be precise. But basically, as you can see, it's different. So, arcane is Yama's Yoki, actually. So the occult type affinities are poison, blood loss, and arcane. So arcane is basically, we can say, the opposite of sacred, right? So it scales, it's for magics, but also for this kind of abilities. So for example, if you are using a specific build that, like arcane is your main attribute, you should use occult on the weapon as well when you place your technique. So for example, if you're using a character that wants to use the Yoma's Yoki, like the release, the release version, like the Yoki energy, you should go for this way when you build your character, and also when you place this on your weapon. This, I mean, technique. So the same opposite is for fate and holy. So if you want to, like, I consider holy, fate, holy, and this kind of, or fate, I consider it like the cautiousness side, the one that keeps the balance with yomas, yoki. So in this case, we can consider it like the cautiousness, and in some cases, for some builds, they should be at almost at the same level. So for characters who goes in awakening without losing their cautiousness, with so reverting, they can be in at the same level, or this is just a little bit lower than awakening. Depends, other than sorry than arcane, which is Yamatsaki. So it depends on the character, of course. Both if it's a character that you want to build that is not in the lore, or if you want to replay a character that is in the lore. So just keep in mind that, I don't know, for example, no, I cannot say that, but you can imagine. Like, it's not even so difficult, because somehow, like, if you think about characters that are going into awakening, like for example, Jean is a character that for her specific abilities uses arcane a lot. So her main statistics are arcane and strength. So she scales with arcane and strength, and she has a decent amount of dexterity, but it's not like the top. And the good and the mid good, like dexterity and fate are probably similar as a number, as value, because her cautiousness is not a high level of cautiousness, but she was able to keep up with the awakening until Claire helped her. So let's say that her cautiousness is keeping up enough with the Yoki energy, so Yama energy. So that's the kind of work I'm doing. So when you are going to, okay, let's say poison will be replaced. It's been replaced with Yama's blood. So basically, in this case, maybe I will change it, but for the moment, it's not how it is. So it's like a weapon that it's being dirtied with Yama's blood. Just a second, that I need to check something. Just be patient. Okay, it's the other model showing me the result of something, so I needed to check and answer. Okay, so let's say that this is basically a weapon that has been imbued, not imbued, like dirty. There is Yoma's blood on it, so when you are hitting someone, I mean, technically it shouldn't do anything to Yomas. So some enemies are immune to poison, so there will be some stuff in there as well. Maybe not in the first release, but I mean, I'm working on it. So when something is done and I say, okay, this is done, and I don't have to work it anymore because it's okay, I can move to the next phase and so on. So this is the poison in our lore, because there is no poison in our lore. So it's just Yoma's blood that makes maybe people got sick or whatever. What is blood? So in Elden Ring is basically, how can I explain it? I mean, you can understand it easily, like it's blood loss basically. Blood loss build up for strength and dexterity. But the point is that at a certain point, after after a specific number of hits on the target, it does remove a percentage of health from the target. So it's been used to kill farm and kill specific enemies which have a lot of HP and gives a lot of rooms. So if you are like early in the game, there are people going and kill those things easily because they use this to take away a lot of life from them. So that's like to make you understand, this is basically a build that every 5, 10, I don't remember, every X number of attacks, it removes a percentage of the health. Doesn't matter how much health. The more health it is, the more is the higher is the flat number. So because it's a percentage. So this is how it works basically. And it's probably also multiplied by strength and dexterity. So it's a specific particular type. And that one, okay, in our lore, this one is Bloodthirst. So it's basically one of the awakening stages, but we will see that later. So, or it should be like implemented in the awakening or considered like an awakening stage for the moment. Maybe I will find other solutions for that, but for the moment, this is it. So, okay, fire flame here. This is something that is totally not in our lore. This is something that could be used for abyssals and awakened beings, which are not in the lore, but since we are gonna play in a technically next continent area, and there are stuff that are not in the lore, so that can be adjusted or removed. I didn't decide yet. So for the moment, it's like I will probably not use them, or at least have them removed from the claymore, from the claymores pool. They can be used from others, but not from claymores. Same lightning is gonna be replaced, and I will explain better later. Then there is the magic, which is no longer magic because we don't have magics in Claymore lore. And cold is becoming okay. This is something that I didn't want to spoil, or I don't want to spoil, so I will not spoil it. But this will just have a different, not so different name, but it's like yeah, something that you will like the cherry on the cake. So magic, what is magic? Basically, magic will be considered like the first stage of awakening, which is like 10%, okay? At least for the moment. Again, almost all the things that I'm saying, not all, just some, they might be changed in the future if I find a better solution. But for the moment, I like it, and if it's working well with the overall mod, I will leave it. Otherwise, if I find another solution, that's good. So in 2 weeks, this guy that helped me, it's basically gonna be free again in 2 weeks, so you might help me deciding some stuff. So I need to quick up because I need to answer him. So okay, let's say in the next video I will explain better my idea for the awakening stages, which will also imply these things, and I will finish explaining all of this. Okay, I need to close it because he's asking my presence and he needs to finish. So see ya.